Hey, welcome to this Georgina Cares Fund special on Rogers TV. Georgina, great to see everybody. You know, Georgina Scares. I guess it's Halloween or Halloween. Georgina Cares is a service that has been in the town of Georgina for just over 30 years. And we're going to talk about what we do at Georgina Cares with a couple of our board members. And we're going to talk about how you can help us with the auction this year and how if you need some support or you know somebody that needs support, how you can contact us. With me is Kevin Forget. Kevin Forget is a board member of the town of Georgina, a familiar face to all of you on City TV in Toronto. He's really the star out of everybody here.
Yeah, right.
Great to see you, Kevin.
Great to be here.
As well, I think the longest serving board member of Georgina Cares, or pretty close. I don't know if your wife was first or you were first.
Oh, Darlene beats me.
Oh, Darlene beats you. That's right. That's right, Darlene Carson. This is Jim Anderson, the former producer and
station manager
and everything here at Rogers TV. Great to see you.
Thank you.
So listen, thank you to Rogers TV especially and everybody here for allowing us to do this. You know what an important partner Rogers TV has been to Georgina Cares so that we could bring the auction to you every year. We'll show you a couple of pictures of the auction later on if you've never seen it before. But I want to go to Jim first because that history is really important. First of all, you know, there used to be something called Trillium Cable in the town of Georgina.
There did. There was, in 2000, I think Rogers took over the existing Trillium license in Georgina, and you had already been doing the auction for a couple of years. I wasn't overly familiar with it, but became familiar through Rogers TV. We jumped in right away to help you keep that momentum going. Did the auction the first couple of years out of there was a studio in Pefferlaw.
Port Bolster.
Actually, technically it was even on the Brock side of the road, so it wasn't even in Georgina.
You're right.
The studio was not good.
Yeah.
So we would bring a mobile up, actually from the city, would let us bring a mobile up. We basically pushed their stuff to the side, covered in dust and whatever it was, and we would do the auction a couple of years there, and then we ended up moving that auction to the Newmarket studio.
Right.
So that was difficult for us to run the studio auction there and then race up to Georgina to give the stuff away at the end of the day. And then this station here at the Ice Palace is coming up 14 years old, and this has worked out amazingly for Rogers TV, but more importantly, the tie-in with Georgina Cares has been something that Rogers always believed in, and we're just so happy that I think this year will be our 25th on Rogers TV.
Wow, that's fantastic. You know, we're pretty lucky. You know, I will tell you though, Rogers being the key supporter, but the whole issue of starting an organization like Georgina Cares, you know, it started with a couple of people that got together. You will remember a guy by the name of John Slykehouse, who was the editor of the Georgina Advocate. Great guy. I remember when we called everybody together, there was him, a guy by the name of John Dusam, who was the station manager of the old Trillium Cable, a lady by the name of Becky Golden, who was heavily involved with the hockey network in the town of Georgina. We sat down at their dining room table, and we talked about helping kids being kids in the town of Georgina, and that's where where it all started. And since then, I mean, Kevin, you know what's happened and how this community has grown over the years, and especially with your time in the arenas and things like that, the importance of having something like Georgina Cares there.
Yeah, and I first started off just by kind of volunteering with the auction and sort of my time, and then once I realized what this organization does and seeing firsthand how it's helping people, and being a dad who have kids who play hockey and did baseball and all that stuff, seeing what it costs and what it takes and the commitment, and really it breaks my heart to think that there's a child out there that would want to do something, play a sport, be a child, and their parents or their caregivers not being able to make it happen because of the cost. So I was like, let me join this organization, be part of it, and seeing what it does in this community just blows my mind every time.
And you know what? We as an organization are happy to have you as part of our board. Sometimes it gets a little bit complicated because of your hours, but Kevin has been a huge resource for us in helping with the auction and helping guide our way, because Georgina Cares is overseen by a board of directors. All are volunteers. We are a not-for-profit organization, and I would hazard to guess 95 or more goes back to the community from all of the donations we receive. So we're really proud of that and what we've done. So let's talk a little bit about, well, first of all, my name's Rob Grossi. I am the founder and president, but I could never do this without all of the people that sit on the board and all of you, because it really comes down to you. And when I talk about you, it's the business people in this community. Jim and Kevin know, and others, that we walk into some of these businesses in town and we're hoping that they may support us, and we're astounded when we leave with the kind of stuff that they give us to sell as part of our auction. And you're going to see that November the 24th, Sunday, November the 24th, right here on Rogers TV, starting at 11:30 a.m. We're going to run till 6 p.m. And then right after 6 p.m., we're going to be in Bailey's Homestead at the Ice Palace, and we'll be handing out all the items to the lucky bidders. So, we wanted to do this special because we want to tell you a little bit about what we do as well, our programs, because we don't necessarily stand at the top of the mountain and yell out what we're doing and who we're giving it to. We do it behind the scenes, and you'll see it with the Hockey Association or the Baseball Association. Something happens. Somebody can't afford to play a sport. Somebody's running into financial difficulty. We have to go through a process, but we're the organization that will help you do that and make sure seamlessly that happens so that young person can continue in the sport. So the first, Jim, we talked about the original birth of Georgina Cares and what that fund looks like, not the Compassionate Fund, but the original fund.
Yeah, I think it's a tough organization to explain to people because, like you said, most of what we do is behind the scenes. It's anonymous. You apply for funding, or somebody applies on your behalf. So like an example, a child that can't play hockey, mom or dad lost their job, it's time for registration, they don't have the money, they reach out to us, we get some financial information. But then we're reaching out directly to the association to say, basically, here's the money, so Johnny can play hockey. In most cases, the coach wouldn't know, for sure the other players wouldn't know, other families wouldn't know. And the best part, I think in a lot of cases, is the child probably doesn't know. They just assume mom and dad found the money somehow and I'm playing hockey. And we're okay with that.
Yep.
It's amazing that there's that, you wouldn't have that stigma like I feel bad because I can't afford it or my parents can't afford it. That's probably not the case. And we're not looking for anybody to put up their hand and go, we were helped. It just kind of happens behind the scenes, and the goal is to get that kid playing with his friends like with everybody else.
And it isn't necessarily the mother or the father that are applying. It could be a friend, a relative, caregiver, or some other social service agency. We just want to hear from you, and we have a website. We have lots of contact information that they'll show on the screen over the course of this half hour. So if you know somebody or you need somebody and you need that help, just let us know. Now, Kevin, the Compassionate Fund is something that we're really proud of. Tell us a little bit about that.
So this is something that sort of started just a few years ago when we realized that there are people going through some pretty tough times. And it could be things from, someone who has injured themselves, a house fire that's happened in the community. And again, we're not looking for people to come and sort of realize like, they don't usually ask, right, for this type of money. Right. Usually we will find out about something horrible that's happened to their family and be able to kind of find out how to contact them and then just give them a little bit of money to kind of get them over the hump. Yep. The difficulties with something that happened to your home, or unfortunately someone has to head to the city to have treatments at a hospital, and we realize that parking and gas costs a lot of money. So how do we figure out how to make sure that kind of stuff happens? Or someone has run into a situation where they need something on their home to make their life easier and better. And we've done things from helping fix vehicles to help with ramps to their homes, to different things like that. And it's, so like Jim just said, it's really hard to describe what Georgina Cares does, but it's because there's so many different avenues and ways that we've been able to help people. But the key thing is, and I think Jim also said it, is it's anonymous. And don't be ashamed if you're applying, because we want to help more people. And that's, I think, what part of this goal today would be, to give people information on how to apply, but also how to apply on behalf of somebody.
Well, and that's interesting because, over the last few years, with COVID and what happened during COVID, we expanded our programs even beyond, I think, what we thought they were going to be, basically because we had more and more people that wanted to support what we were doing. best example was the pop-up breakfast program. And Jim, maybe you can talk a little bit about that.
Yeah, I think we were, as a community, moved by what they were doing. When you start to hear that, more and more kids are coming to school hungry,
Right.
They don't have breakfast in these schools, and we're hearing of teachers pooling money and throwing in $20 every week so at least they can buy some groceries so a kid can have breakfast. And then you get this group of people in town who have just made it their mission to donate a box of cereal and we'll make sure it gets into the right hands.
Right.
And then for us to step in and say, the community has been great originally, but if we can step in and also give you just a bit more, maybe you can feed more kids and it's less of a burden on other people. So that's kind of something we've hopped on to other organizations if we can help. Absolutely. Sometimes there's a million organizations jumping in, whether it's a GoFundMe, and we look very carefully because we do take the money that we receive very seriously. We're not just giving it to anybody.
Right.
We look very carefully and we try to make the right decisions for Georgina. But it certainly does stay only in Georgina. We do take that seriously too.
Yeah, and you know what? And we expanded this year. And Kevin, maybe you can talk a little bit about the school program. It's really exciting. We've had some great response.
Some great response. And the nice part is that, as the word's getting out more and more, schools are starting to jump on board. And with the school program, you're realizing that the money that is being donated to the auction or donating through more than the auction is really helping feed kids. And, the thought of a child going to school hungry, breaks your heart. So through the school programs and being able to now really help with the programs that they have in place.
Well, and the school program is unique because we've tried to help in the past, and what we decided to do this year is there's 17 different schools in the town of Georgina. We've given each of them, the parent councils at the schools, $1,000 each to spend as they see fit. Now, if they see a child in the school who doesn't have the proper boots to wear to school, they can step in and do it anonymously. If there's a field trip and a couple of the kids aren't going to be able to go on the field trip because mom and dad don't have the resources, the parent council can step in and do so. It's a way that it doesn't involve the board, and we respect the board and what they do, but it allows the parent council directly to deal with those needs within the school. So we're really excited about that. And talking about schools, the scholarship program, Jim, good to your heart and my heart too. With some nice young people in this community graduating in grade 12.
Yeah, we have for our grade 12 graduating students, write us a essay and tell us about your volunteerism in town. And in turn, we have scholarships that we give. Is it $1,500 now we're at?
Sure is, yeah.
And make an application, and you see all those bursaries being given out at graduations. Yep. Our criteria is basically if you've given back in some way, we'll recognize you. And it's, I think it's a way, a lot of kids kind of go, well, I need my 40 hours of volunteerism, and then they can barely scratch together 40 hours.
Yeah.
It's not that hard.
No.
Just don't wait until June of your graduating year. But there are kids out there who have done amazing things and volunteering their time since they were much younger and have hundreds of hours. And this is one way we can recognize them and say, thank you. And here's a little something for school.
And I know it's not easy to kind of get grade 12 students to want to sit down and write an essay.
Yeah.
So, if parents are watching right now, that it's, we're not into the new year yet.
No.
But start getting them to think about it.
100%.
Start writing it now because, there's a lot of graduating students.
You're about
Georgina.
to go through this.
Yes, my son being one of them.
Rob and I are through this already, and every little bit helps.
Exactly, but also just the motivation to know that you probably are watching this and know somebody who's graduating in Georgina this year. Get that on their radar now, because we do have deadlines and we need to make sure that we get all the stuff handed out in time.
Sure.
So get them motivated to write the essay now.
Yes, that's right.
And what's unique about Georgina, you don't have to necessarily attend school in Georgina. If you're one of those kids that's going to Huron Heights or Bill Crothers or a school outside of the town of Georgina, as long as you show us that you have been a good, solid community member in the town of Georgina, we'll consider your application. So you're right, that $1,500, how many hours of summer work is that?
It's a lot.
So $1,500 means a lot.
And that's a good point. The fact that we are only supporting Georgina residents I think people like to know the fact that the money they're giving us is staying here. Because we all get asked, to donate to whether it's a hospital in the city, which are all great things to do.
Right.
But I think people like the fact that my money's staying here and helping my neighbor, my friend's neighbor, friends of my kids, whatever, but it's staying here.
Whenever I've gone, and other members of the board have done this as well, whenever you've gone to somebody's door after they've had a fire or after a catastrophic event where a kid is sick and going to the hospital on a daily basis, when you do that, and all of a sudden you walk up to somebody's door and you've got $500 in gift cards or whatever, and you give it to them, you try to explain that it isn't, we're just a tool that's being used to help them out. It's your neighbor down the street who wanted to help, so they went and bought a Smile cookie, or they went to McDonald's and supported McHappy Day, or they bought something. It's that compassion that's shown by all of the people in the community that is what really gives us the opportunity that what we do and what we
And those
can
organizations that are, McDonald's and Tim's have been so great. We get giant checks from these people who have great work for it. But the ones that are the Weiwa or the other organizations who are a school will say, we raised $153 at our bake sale.
I know.
And that gets me just as much as the $10,000 we may have got from Tim's, because that organization has put enough thought into it to go, here's a need, we want to help, and we believe in what you're doing.
So let's talk about those people that help us out. I've seen you behind the counter at McDonald's.
You know what?
Once in a while.
McHappy Day is one of my favorite days. I mean, I've always wanted to work at McDonald's, never had the chance, so this is my one time a year. And I will tell you that, first of all, the people who work behind the counters are the hardest working people I know, because that's not an easy job.
Yeah.
But seeing McDonald's back Georgina Cares for this many years. And I can also say that I've been behind the counter, but I've also stood outside in the drive-thru with a bucket sort of saying, all the money raised today is going to Ronald McDonald House as well as Georgina Cares. And as soon as people know that and they realize that the money that they're throwing in that bucket is staying in our community, I've seen them go in and grab more. And it's really nice to see that a big company like McDonald's still sort of puts their back towards a great organization like Georgina Cares. But I also know that over the years, because I think I've done the McHappy Day, 10 years, 12 years in a row, you see the same people coming back, and they've verbally told me that they come because they know that the money's going to Georgina Cares. Yeah. So that is, that's great that the word's getting out, but also that people are coming out to support.
Jim and I were there the other day, and they did remind us that you still owe them for a last order of fries.
I know. I think I screwed up a couple meals while I was there, but it's okay. It's part of the job.
Yeah, so Tim's, McDonald's is great. There's a new manager in town, Todd Telford, who has been a great supporter of Georgina Cares in the past. We thank him and his wife for all of their support over the years. There's a new manager, Keyshawn. Go in and see him, say hello, tell him that you saw us mention him on Rogers TV. It might help us with his donation. He's a great guy. So the other organization, and we are so thankful for their support. The major organization is I'm getting all mixed up. Tim Hortons.
Yep. Now, we all know, Mr. Waddington, who's on our board, does his best to buy Smile cookies. Boxes upon boxes.
Yes.
Right.
But this community buys a lot of Smile cookies.
Oh my God, it's unbelievable.
Because when we do the math and we get the check and go, that's a lot of cookies.
It's a lot of cookies.
Yeah.
I think we've had a couple of times.
So yeah, it's an amazing thing, and the fact that organization with all of their local stores has chosen us year after year, it says a lot.
Yeah, and they're great people. We see them year after year, and they have lots of choices.
Sure
do.
They
choose to support Georgina Cares because they know that we cover a lot of space.
Yep.
And we keep everything local. But besides those two, they're great organizations. But Jim, you mentioned it a little bit earlier. Whether it's a real estate agent who decides to have a car show in town, and they phone us out of the blue and say, "Hey, listen, can we give you a couple of bucks?" The Canettes are having a duck race.
Yes.
And the next thing they've listed us as one of their benefiting charities. What about those kinds of organizations? You see them all the time.
Well, and that's the neat part is that, there's the big companies like the McDonald's and the Tim Hortons, but there are community businesses, people who are very active in this community who are doing great things for event-wise, and it's so great to see that they're doing it in Georgina. But when they do put their back towards, Georgina Cares and put the proceeds from their events for this organization, it just shows that like they're committed to the community too. And not only do you see them hold the events, they're also the people who are donating to the auctions.
Yeah, exactly.
Those are the people who are calling and sort of saying, hey, can I help out with on the phones? Or, how can I just be part of it? Because they see that, their jobs are being in the community, but this Georgina Cares is the community.
Yeah.
And so being part of this and being part of all of the different events is really kind of heartwarming to see that they're putting some donations towards it too.
Yeah, I mean, like I mentioned, Waywad did his charity, was more a car show, I guess, at Glenwoods Plaza. I sat in a dunk tank for an hour and took some verbal abuse from people. No. Including you. Glad you missed the target.
It's Rob. He was all
Thanks a lot. Yeah.
But yeah, I think there are lots of ways to help us. It doesn't have to be through a giant donation or even on the auction day.
Yeah.
We'd love you to take part but if there's not anything on there that is right for you, make a cash donation, run an event. There's, like I said, we would gladly take $93 from your child's lemonade stand because all of that helps. We have a place for it.
Well, and you know what? It's interesting because you have a place like M Ice Cream in Jackson's Point.
Great place.
So this year, great place. That's
great
maybe
place.
why, So here's a guy, comes in, spends a lot of money, opens a business in town, get to meet him. Next thing he's saying, I want to do a fundraiser. Somebody told me about your organization. We go in Jackson's Point in the middle of the summer. He's got the band on the street, and we're collecting money from everybody. I think at the end of the day, we had $1,200 from them. Or you know what you've got for the highwaymen. Mm-hmm. The bike guys that ride down Lake Drive, and people go, oh, shit, there's 150 bikes, and they decide that they want to support Georgina Cares. SNK, the hair salon over here, they did a big fundraiser last year at New Year's, and end up dropping a check off for us. And the Georgina Together trivia event, which is fairly new, and they pick a charity every week. So we have great support from a lot of people. However, there are a lot of people that need support in this community, and we try to do it quietly. And our biggest fundraiser out of the year is the auction. So where do we want to start as far as the auction is concerned?
I think that the auction, the best way to describe it is that it's a day for you to get together in front of your television. I know before I did the auction, I used to make it a tradition with my family and friends, and we would sit all day and, we'd have a couple drinks and we would, have some food, and we would sort of see this all-day auction happen. And there is a little something for everybody in this auction. We're going to have a lot of fun putting it on Rogers TV, and obviously couldn't do without the partners with Rogers TV. But when you look at the different blocks, and it's broken up throughout the entire day of different blocks, there's going to be a little something for everybody. From spa days to getaways to barbecue. Sometimes there's a little bit of everything. So you're going to be able to find something either for yourself or for somebody else. It's a great way to start your Christmas shopping.
It sure is.
And so, Jim, you've been the producer of that show on Rogers forever. What's it going to be like this year? Are we going to get you on air?
No. They're lucky to get me in this chair. No, we have great people on the air. It's all familiar people that you've seen for years. There's a mix of Georgina Cares board members.
So let me just stop you for 1 second. So there's a picture of a guy right there on the screen now. Okay, we lost him this year. Great guy, Don Pratt. We'll talk more about him during the auction.
We will. If you ever want an example of somebody who wasn't part of the board but just loved the day of the auction, that's Don. And he eventually became, I hired him on as a host here at Rogers TV. But before that, he loved being here. He wanted to be here from the very first part of the day and did not want to leave until the end because he just believed so much in it and had so much fun. So, yes, we'll certainly talk about him on auction day.
Yeah, so the auction is coming up November the 24th. It's right here on Rogers TV. The space that we're in right now will transform itself once again into auction headquarters. We will have, I think, close to 300 items. We picked up a few of them today. Oh my gosh. If you're looking for a Bowflex, hey, we're going to have it right here on TV for you. I know some people might need a little bit more because they spend a lot of time at the ice cream parlor in the summer. Just kidding. But we got stuff like that. So if you want to help us with the auction, we're going to put something up on the screen where you can donate. Get in touch with Sharon Mackey. She's our auction coordinator. You can get in touch with me as well. We're going to accept your donations. We're going to fill them into a slot. And remember that every dollar of an item that you donate is going right to the Georgina Cares Fund, and we will make sure that those funds get distributed within this community to people that are in need, whether it's through a compassionate gift of some kind, whether it's through someone like a Johnny or a Sally that want to continue in a sport, whether it's a medical need. We don't want to replace a program that currently exists through the government or through somebody else, because we don't accept government funding. We're only a charity that will accept funding from people within the community, and we are so lucky to have the people that we have. Your last thoughts before we get into the auction this year?
The last thoughts are, if you're watching at home and you're like, motivated to either, apply or know somebody. I think that that's the key thing, is that we sit here, we do this, we have the meetings, there's a lot of work that goes into the organization. Rob, more than anybody, and what even to put the auction on. But the key thing is we want to be able to help people. And so I want people that are watching right now to not be ashamed, to not be embarrassed, to know that this organization is here to help you, help your family, help your child. And please take this opportunity to go to our website and get more information.
Great. Jim?
For me, two things. If you're looking to donate something, please do so quickly. If you're watching this in October, by the end of the month, we're looking to get that list to the local paper, so it's going to be in the Post this year.
Right. Also
available online, but if you want to get your auction item on that list, you got to get on it quickly. Mm-hmm. And last, I think we don't pretend like everybody knows who we are, which is why we're doing a show like this. Yes, a lot of people know who we are. There's a lot of new people moving into town. Right. So you just want to make sure you understand who we are. And I think most of this town has bought in on the believe in what we're doing. We would need new people to feel the same.
And, for those that are watching, if you're not a business and you were at a golf tournament this year and you got an item that you're not going to use, phone us. We'll take it. We can sell it. Somebody wants a dozen Titleist golf balls that you're not going to use. We can sell them on the auction. It'll make you feel good because you've helped us at Georgina Cares, and it all helps out. So remember the date. It's November the 24th this year. It's a Sunday. We start at 11:30 a.m. We're on the air here in this Rogers studio. We're going to run till 6 p.m.
Cable 10?
And is it Rogers Cable 10?
Online, too.
Online.
ROGERStv.com.
Yeah, so if you're...
you don't have to be a customer.
Yeah, it might be a little bit of a delay, but you know what? We always tell you, bid high, and you'll have a chance. We have bell ringers galore. We have lots of bell ringers. If you've bid above the value of an item, we'll give you an extra item. There's lots of great things happening. November 24th, 11:30 till 6 o'clock, and then you have to pick up at Bailey's Homestead right here in the Ice Palace, starting at 6:30. You watched the Georgina Cares special here about our auction and about what we do. Thank you for watching. Remember again, November the 24th at 11:30 a.m. right here on Rogers TV. Thank you to Kevin. Thank you, Jim. Thank you to everybody in the town of Georgina. We'll see you on the 24th.